What do you guys think of this? When do you guys know Jordan Peterson? Jordan B.
No.
Peterson?
Yeah.
I don't
The guy who
think
makes
so.
movies?
Huh?
The guy who makes
What
movies?
No,
what about him?
this is like this old psychology professor guy who.
Psychologist?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He
Yeah.
he speaks like Kermit the Frog. Like can he Kermit tone?
My gosh, what is this tweet from him? Let the climate change modelers model the future of a single stock for 5 years, for 1 year, but the entire climate, which is everything, for 80 years. What does this mean? What is he
Did you see
saying?
my Did you see my response to it?
I did not. Let me see.
I responded to
It
that
sounds
one.
like it's like a haiku or something.
Yeah. So, Jordan, buddy, in language you can understand, earth get hot, water get hot. Lobsters can't pee on each other anymore to make sweet, sweet love. Lobsters are the metaphysical substrate. Save the lobsters, save the hierarchy. It's pretty good.
It makes sense, right? It makes sense, right?
Is that what he was asking? Like, what it is?
No. Oh, no, he just speaks in convoluted language to attempt to sound smart to his harem or whatever, cult of young white men that think that he saved them or whatever. Like, because Jordan Peterson does all these like self-help books, right? He wrote 12 Rules for Life, and I think that really resonated with a lot of people who were feeling like they were not in control of their destiny or were hoping that they had sort of, I don't know, more control over their circumstance. And so, yeah, that's where all that started.
Yeah. Hello, Zath.
Hello.
Sorry, I had to put my kid out of bed.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm here
okay.
all late.
That's okay. As you know, it's very chill on Thursdays, so
Yeah.
people come in when they want, people leave when they want. So no biggie. Yeah.
Cool. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Yeah. We were just talking about Jordan Peterson. So
And
his-
bags and pillows. Don't forget
and
about that.
pillows, used pillows. Would you ever buy a used pillow?
No. Gross. Hard no for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people are looking for like a father figure or something. I don't know what it is with Jordan Peterson, but that's what I'm assuming. Is he kind of has like the dad vibe to him, right? So that's kind of what I thought. When I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. I would have liked to have a dad kind of like that, But yeah, I don't know. Then I
it's the
listened
co-
a little bit more, and then I was like, oh fuck, this guy.
But this is the comfort of having like intellectual authorities to listen to, right? This is a
Yeah.
lot of people's brands where a lot of people just want to be told what to think or at least given reasons for why they think the way they think and have them be justified by someone who is perceived as an intellectual authority.
Yeah.
And Jordan Peterson is, one of those
Yeah.
people who's cornered that market.
Yeah.
I think psychology in and of itself is kind of convoluted. Like it's all correlations and stuff like that, and we have to do a lot of research because of like the replication crisis,
Yeah.
which has a lot of reasons behind it. But being able to look at psychology in a way that's very simple and straightforward, I think, is something that everybody wants to do. And so the fact that like he simplifies it into something that's kind of not that accurate, but like is it what a professional is saying, I think people like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. What else is on in the news today? I know Cherry is probably debating her stepdad right now. Let me see. I think I got a notification for it.
Do you think it's okay to debate family members on Twitch, or do you think that's a bad idea?
I mean, it's her
Depends on what you're
stepdad.
debating.
Yeah, and he's not really family yet, right? So, and it's good practice for her. So, She's asserting her dominance over him, hopefully.
I think it's vaccine stuff is a really hard thing to debate because people aren't like on the same premise, like of
Yes,
how the world
link-
functions sometimes, like with that conversation.
Yeah.
And how is that?
Agree.
Sorry?
Huh?
And how does the world function with that?
Eventually, a total
Oh, with vaccines?
Yeah.
I have my views on it, but
Vaccines are good. I'll take the hard line here. Vaccines are good.
Agree.
yeah.
There you go. There's my hard line take.
Get your shots.
Yeah. I was practicing being anti-vax yesterday. Well, not even anti-vax, just like COVID denialism. I was practicing doing that yesterday for Cherry, and then everybody like thought I was being serious and started. I guess people started messaging Pixel and saying like, "Did you know Stardust is like it like?" I'm like, "No, I'm not like this." Like, and and then Pixel came into my chat and she's like, "Hey, people are messaging me that you're anti-vax." Like, yeah.
You were selling it real well. You were selling it real well.
I'm glad that I'm convincing. So
It's a talent. It's a talent.
fun stuff. I was having fun with it, but you know, to each their own, I guess. Oh,
I'm sure.
okay.
I'm sure Cherry appreciated it.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be 2021. December 25th isn't here yet.
September.
Wow. This
September.
looks
oh,
like
September.
Yeah. So September 25th, 2021. The Indian Council.
By the way, whenever I sit here like feeling awkward, I find myself just looking at the piece of bread.
same. Yeah.
Like I just zone in on the random floating piece of bread.
My opinion on vaccines, I think vaccines are one of the greatest technological advancements that we've made in the last 100 years because of like the benefit that they've brought. Like there are so many, and it's really awesome that we have a vaccine for COVID. With vaccine mandates, I think it's a hard thing because
Events reporting.
like people's personal freedom is important, but also not killing other people is important. And so you have to weigh both of those. And personally, I think not killing other people.
Well, you could still spread the COVID even if you've been vaccinated. So
You don't have the same viral load as somebody who didn't get vaccinated, so you aren't spreading as many viral particles.
you're still
Also,
spreading,
if
though.
Yeah,
but there you go, Waffles.
I live in Las
Um,
Vegas and I have plenty of friends that have been double vaccinated and they've still gotten COVID and work in the service
Yeah.
industry.
Did they go to
So,
hospital or die?
A couple of them are
'Cause-
still in the hospital and they didn't die,
Wow.
but a couple of them are still in the ICU actually.
Wow.
That's awful.
I'm sorry
And
to
they,
hear that.
Yeah.
were they vaccinated?
Yeah, they were vaccinated. Actually, one of them had a booster shot as well.
Really? God, that's awful.
I'm wondering if
Yeah,
that's
I
like
just
the
think
Delta
the problem
variant.
is that yeah, I think that's the other thing, right? So that's
Yeah.
the thing is like we have a place that's built around tourism, right?
Yeah.
And so you're coming in contact with people all day, every day. I mean, and even outside of COVID, you still have to worry about obviously other things like yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things that you can get, like you can get hepatitis from touching someone's plate from their saliva, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to worry about when you work in food and beverage, especially in a place of such high traffic, right? Because most restaurants in other cities are a lot smaller. We build things to bring in thousands of people daily, right? So that's the other thing too, is like we're bringing people in constantly and, you know, like, and then there's short staff things that are going on. So I think that you have, you know, people, even if they are vaccinated, coming in contact with, you know, Delta variant and stuff like that, and then working extra because we shut down, right? So I think it comes down to also just like, are you taking care of yourself? Are you resting? Are you doing all of those things, right? So at the end of the day, the better health you are in, the better chance you have no matter what you come in contact with. And so I think that's another thing we're starting to realize in certain cities, even if you are vaccinated and you do get vaccinated, you have these underlying conditions based upon how you take care of yourself, right? So say people that are obese or, you know, have underlying conditions and stuff like that. So it's, I feel like with this thing,
I'm really sorry that, like, I understand like why you'd be hesitant of vaccines if you have like these friends that like have done everything that they're
it's not
supposed
that I'm
to be
hesitant
doing.
with the vaccine. I'm just hesitant about the fact that everybody's excited about a vaccine that actually doesn't work, right? So
It does work though.
So
I mean,
like
it works. A vaccine working means you don't get it. Like,
No.
Well,
A
not
vaccine
necessarily.
working means that it reduces your chance of having extremely negative effects or dying.
Vaccines are not
I don't get
100% effective. That's not how vaccines work at all.
They're not
Nothing
supposed
is
to be either.
100%
They're supposed to prepare your immune system with with T cells, so that when you come into contact with COVID, your body is somewhat prepared to fight off that viral infection.
could I talk for like
the whole way.
could I talk for
But
like
at the
2
end of the
minutes?
day, every
yeah,
single
yeah.
person has an ED system that's different, just like when you take medication and stuff like that. So,
Because
I mean,
like the point I want to make takes a long time to explain.
go
I
ahead.
think the thing that's good about vaccines is that they fundamentally change how the virus is interacting with your body. And so different viruses have different R naught values, like how many people you infect when you get it. And one of the things that the vaccine does is it lowers that R naught value so you aren't spreading it to as many people, even if you get really sick. The reason that that matters is because every time that something replicates, it has the possibility for mutation. So when you're looking at it in terms of a graph, for people if nobody was getting vaccinated, it could be an exponential curve. And if people were getting vaccinated because they aren't spreading it to as many people, it can look more like a logarithmic curve. So the longer that this goes on and the more that we allow the virus to replicate, the higher the chance that a new variant is going to arise, and the higher the chance that this is going to turn into something like the flu, where you're going to be mandated to get the vaccine every year. That on top of, we don't know the effects of a virus. If you get the flu, not the vaccine, but the flu itself, and you're pregnant, it increases the chance of your kid having schizophrenia by 3 times. They also can cause blindness in children, like if you're pregnant, and like a ton of other things that we don't know. Viruses can trigger mental health things in the future. So they're just, if you look at the research as a whole, it shows to be helping, and we've been able to reopen because of it. And I think because of those reasons, it's a good thing.
Can I just say, speaking of children with mental health issues, the children that are growing up in Flint, Michigan right now are going to have a really hard time when they're older because their water still has lead. That's all.
True.
True,
There's
very
a lot
true.
of water systems that have lead. It's crazy.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that their water still has lead.
Yeah.
So, you know, for mental
There's
health.
a lot of
Anyway, back to
water,
the thing.
water, especially in the United States, is crazy. How
Yeah.
many people are drinking not clean water, and then now you add fracking into certain climates, and you're literally polluting the water with fracking. So yeah,
I know, I
the
feel
water
like-
situation in the United States is interesting.
Do they frack out in Las Vegas a lot? Because you guys have Indian reservations, huh? So they.
I don't know if they frack here, but I'm from upstate New York, and I'm from New York originally, and there's tons of fracking that still happens in upstate New York, and the water that like goes into plenty of water streams, because upstate New York is known for Finger Lakes, and there's plenty of fresh water like running through everything. It's a really bad problem, especially like where my mom is from. So there's tons of people that like are very anti-fracking, and I mean, the reality is like what you're doing is just, you know, you're blasting to release things, and you know, there's water and everything, right? So it's just.
Can I say one more thing about the vaccine thing, and then say something about the water thing? The other thing is that's different about COVID and the flu is that COVID is shown to have a way higher hospitalization rate than the flu. So even if you don't get COVID and you aren't vaccinated or something, the result of that could lead to hospitals being overflown and people with things like cancer not getting treatment. That's another problem. And with the water thing, I feel like it really sucks. Like I'm from Michigan originally. Everybody, like, pretty close to Flint, and like a lot of people have gotten sick that are in my family, like with things that are related to the water quality, and it just sucks that people aren't looking into it.
Yeah,
or, like,
you're
doing anything
100%
about it.
correct with the cancer treatment stuff. I have a friend that has hospitals in America and in Mexico that treat cancer patients, and because of COVID happening, they actually had to stop treating the cancer patients that were in their hospital, exit them from the hospital, and then turn it into COVID testing centers. So they actually lost over a dozen patients during COVID because they couldn't get the medication.
Yeah, my grandma died last year because of it.
I'm so
It's
sorry
horrible.
about that.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Like if we get vaccinated and like do everything that like we should, that like to stop it, I think it won't. Not as many people will be put in that position.
Well, Australia is going to be like a pretty interesting statistic in this because at the moment we're at 82 in my state. We're at 82% fully vaccinated, 12 years and over, and so it's going to be interesting to I don't know compare our deaths and cases with somewhere with a similar population like Florida, where it just like went rampant. So there will be like
I
slightly
thought their numbers
comparable
were down. Am I
in
wrong?
in
Or did
Florida.
somebody?
In
Yeah,
Florida
am I
now?
wrong?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
everybody's already had it, and 60,000
Oh,
people have
okay.
died. We've only had like 2,000, I think, in Australia. I think we've had something like 2,000, maybe even less deaths than that. It's very, very low compared to 60,000. So the numbers would be going down in Florida, 1,700 in Australia right now. So the numbers would be going down because more people have had COVID now, and like the wave is on its way down.
What about in Russia? What's the current situation with
Yeah.
COVID in Russia?
Yeah, I want to ask you first, like, do you still have people who still don't believe that COVID exists, like in your country? Because
I
here
know
it's
there have been like I've seen like some like interviews where like people have said that like the patients that they're treating like even while they're
While
dying
they're
of COVID,
dying.
they still
Yeah.
don't believe it.
Yeah.
we still have a lot of people who no, it's like old generation mostly, but it still exists who doesn't believe that COVID exists, and like it's so I don't know, I don't understand that.
I think a lot of
My
Sometimes
boss
it is
literally
hard
they
to
don't
deal
believe.
with.
Sorry.
I think a lot of the denialism that we see in the U.S. as well has kind of shifted from it's not real to it's real, but it's not as bad as they're saying it is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, and about COVID situation is like it's pretty funny because we have high level of cases with COVID of dying, but people don't want to get vaccine because no, vaccine is cheap and they will they were spying. It's American
Yeah.
spies. They always saying that, and even if vaccine is Russian anyway. So I don't know. We getting vaccine pretty. I don't know. We have a lot of lines of people who waiting for vaccine, but still we have a majority of people who don't want to do this, and they go out. They don't wear masks. For example, now we have a week of vacations. Like everybody is supposed to be at home, no job, but people work anyway. People don't wear mask anyway, so it's only official lockdown, but nobody do anything to get rid of this. I mean, in short, everyone is complaining like when COVID will end, I wanna go to restaurant, but nobody do anything for this. So it's I don't know.
I think one of the scariest like parts of it is the like people getting long COVID and basically like having a chronic illness from that point on, because like it's so difficult like dealing with a chronic illness.
All the people who got long COVID now have like erectile dysfunction too. Can you imagine? Man, that's gotta suck. That's gotta suck. Actually,
Yeah,
there was this article that I have that I looked at. Let me see if I can. It was like this dude. Patient semen had COVID-19 plus a low sperm count. 11. I think it's 11 weeks after an infection. That's ridiculous. It's crazy. Yeah.
Also, I wanna sorry for the interrupting. I wanna add that my position not really objective because I don't really like my country, so maybe I will not say about positive things about that. So, but mostly I say truth. I see what I see, but there is a pluses as well. So don't think that it's so bad when
You mean you don't have blind patriotism? That's interesting. That's not the internet.
Yeah. No, I was raising with American culture mostly, so I'm like.
I think that's similar for a lot of people in Australia as well. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of American export in thinking down here as well.
Were your parents American? You said
Mine?
you were raised with American, yeah.
No, no, no. I was watching TV. I mean,
Oh,
from
yeah.
America. But my father, the dream of his life was to move to USA, and he did it. He lives there for more than 10 years.
Wow.
So yeah, someday I will visit him. I didn't yet, haven't yet. But someday.
Interesting.
That's what's up, America. What party go to?
Actually, he is in New York, and sometimes he joining evening streams. Now I was afraid he will join too, and I hope he not, because that would be great.
That sounds like he sounds like a good dad. That's funny.
This virus is
Yeah, I used that as a branding to get vaccinated very early on. I was like, get vaccinated for your D. And then somebody remixed it into a song. And there's a song, and it just like repeats, get vaccinated for your D over and over.
How come I don't get remixes like this? Chat, I need you to step up, okay?
Yeah,
I say
step
horrible
up.
things all the time, and you guys only quote me out of context. It will embarrass me in front of other content creators, and then, then that's it. No remix. The least you can do is a remix. Jeez, these people. It's unbelievable. I just took a peek at Sherry's debate, and it looks painful. It looks very painful for her. Yes. Looks very... She looks like she's so tired. She's like done with it. Do you guys think that, like, people always like make this stereotype about like women like being catty with each other and fighting each other, but like with my experiences and working like in all male workplaces, I feel like dudes do the dick swinging contest like way more than women do. I don't know.
Are you working in though?
Sorry, what?
What's the industry you're working in though?
I used to work in like event stuff, and so I was like one of the only females in like an all male company, and like it was like every day was the dick swinging. Every day is like who has the biggest dick in the room, you know? But I never experienced that in like all female workplace. I don't know, maybe it's because it was a different industry, but I don't know.
I currently work in a strip club, so it's predominantly women in there.
Yeah.
And then I also worked in an office where we developed software, and it was only men. I was the only female, and they argued definitely way more when it was only men than they do at the strip club. Yeah.
Men just think that women are constantly fighting over them, I guess, and are catty because they're fighting over them.
There were external things to consider. Like when I worked in the software dev job, we were in one room all day long for 8 hours straight, just like basically breathing on top of each other. Wow. So that also might add some tension. But as far as like the female environment, my God, the dancers are so nice. It's crazy.
Wow.
I think women have a tendency to be more passive aggressive about things than men do. Men are more inclined to just like open their mouth and say something, and a lot of women kind of, because I guess the generations, the way they were raised, like my generation anyway, and older, we were raised like, oh, you have to be nice and play nice with others and all that dumb bullshit. So
Where are you from?
That's what I think.
Where are you from, Seth?
I'm sorry?
Oh, where are you from?
Oh, Michigan.
Oh, wow.
I think that's also a Midwest thing, though. Because I'm from New York, and it's complete opposite, and I'm 35, and everybody was assholes. So, I don't know.
No.
I think in the past, I probably engaged in a little bit of like pick me behavior. And I think as women, we're also taught to like engage softly mostly for our own safety. But as I have gotten older and, introspected more and learnt more about the influences and society and everything that affect, the way we engage with people, I have actively made sure that I am supportive of other women, because it's the idea that women are in competition with each other just in general reinforces the patriarchy over and over. Like, men are some sort of like scarce resource, and we have to fight for like the best ones, and then all of a sudden, as women, we find out in this sort of competitive nature. And I don't know, does that make sense? Like, just as I've gotten older, I have actively pushed back against that. Like, I foster my friendships with women,
Yeah.
and I try hard not to be like, I'm not like the other girls, I'm
Yes,
different.
that makes perfect sense to me. And then when like a friendship falls apart, like woman to woman, that hurts me so much more than like any breakup I've ever had with a man. It's a lot more impactful.
Yeah.
I think I agree
I
with
just
you
think
on
it's
that.
funny when people think I'm like being catty and like fighting over a guy because I'm gay and I don't like guys in that way, and so it's just like, why? Okay, like this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then they'll say no, like you are, but whatever.
Well,
If you keep over a guy, he's not yours. You know? Why do you want something that's not yours? Wouldn't it be great if, like, do you feel what I'm saying?
yeah, I definitely see what you're saying.
You
Yeah.
know, like, you know, like if there's like another option, then just like go be with the other option. Like, I'd much rather have somebody who's like sure about you. That way, there is no like fighting or
Yeah.
breaking up friendships. Plus, like how you were saying earlier, how like you would much rather like have female friends than just be with like a guy. Like I'd much rather have like a bunch of like strong women supporting me and like a good like friendship circle than to just like have a boyfriend who made me like fight for his attention anyway.
I think I really resonated with what Zath was saying. I when I've had like a rift in a friendship, I have cried way more than any male over any male, even over like my longest relationship. I didn't cry that much, but I like a friendship, a female friendship. Man, that shit will wreck me. Um, yeah, affects me to my core. I don't know.
It's devastating.
Yeah. It's weird.
For me, it's not like specifically like female friendships, like any friend.
Yeah.
If I have like a
Yeah, I
breakup with
kind of
them,
agree
it's
with
really
that.
sad.
I'm a big proponent of like, I like gender things to kind of disappear. Like, I don't have these conversations of like men act this way, women act this way. Like, that to me is just a weird conversation. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's masculine, femininity kind of all wrapped into one, and I've always kind of borderline those things. So like, like even as a kid, it was like, why are you doing this thing? Because you're blah blah blah, and like that was always a weird conversation to me. So for me, I mean, I feel like with anybody that you put any sort of love and you care about them, it's always gonna hurt. But I do agree when you try to have like definitely like girls like to go out with girls, right, and that type of fun thing. It does probably hurt a little bit more like when you have like kind of that like same sex thing going on and you want to have those friendships because you see it all the time in everything you've watched since you were a kid, right? Like from Mean Girls to like any sort of TV show about being in high school or whatever like that. It always shows it very separated, right? I think you see it less so now in some of like the more modern shows they're starting to put out, and you see people kind of pushing back against that culture a little bit. So yeah, I get it.
I think
But
like
it's like weird.
I think part of the reason that like men say that women are catty, like this could I'm just speculating, is if you actually look at research for stuff like women tend to have better like social supports later on in life or like middle age and later on than men do. So it could be like just because we don't really teach men to like be able to express their feelings. It could be like some sort of manifestation of that because like a lot of men will end up feeling really isolated.
I
No,
think
that makes sense.
I agree with what you're saying as far as like eliminating these like boundaries we put around ourselves as much as possible. I guess I think it's interesting to kind of analyze like the different ways that we're socialized just based on our gender roles, right? Because I guess for some people, like depending on the sex that you're born, you'll be socialized so differently from like a sibling of the different sex, right? So I think I was like definitely socialized so differently from my brother, even though my mom was, tried her best to like socialize us the same way. It's still something that's like so pervasive, still. And, I would love to see like more women, more females or more femme people just like, being able to kind of like go beyond those boundaries, right? Be as unapologetic in a social space as men are, right? Or be as like not self-conscious about how much space. Yeah, yeah.
If you do that, right?
Yeah.
It sucks, right? It's like, it's kind of funny. It's like we want to be those things, and then like as soon as we are, like what you said, like somebody saying that sometimes the males will be like, oh, they're catty, but it's like as soon as you start dominance, it's like, oh, that girl's a bitch, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Which is
no,
why I think, I agree we should break it all down, but, like, that's why I think we have to talk about it, right? We have to acknowledge the differences so we can break it down, so we can, have masculine traits, if traditionally masculine traits, but, like, just, abolish gender roles.
This might
It's
be an
also hard
unpopular
because, like, we
opinion.
need words, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things that can like be heard about it too is that, so the thing about like women being catty and women being in this way, the reason that I think it's so pervasive is because they're prescriptive gender norms, like telling you how you're supposed to act, even though they are kind of negative. And it will switch to more of a hostile type of like sexism when they start to call you a bitch and stuff like that. But like there really is no way to do things correctly.
Yeah.
This might be unpopular, but like I like being soft and small. And this might just be because I was conditioned in like my society, as a very young age. If you're a female, they like look at you and they pick you up, they're like, oh, so beautiful, and if it's a boy, they pick you up and they're like, hey, tough guy. So I don't know if this is just something that like I was personally conditioned to believe, but like I like being like feminine and like soft. I don't really want to like be loud and be dominant and take up a bunch of space. And it's unfortunate that like if I want to like start a company, that those are things I have to do. I wish I could do it like in a feminine way, and I know that a lot of women like would probably disagree.
I think
like,
the fact that we see femininity as weakness is the problem, not really you wanting to be feminine, because there's nothing wrong with being feminine. We just have these ideas of it. If you look at movies like Legally Blonde, I think Legally Blonde is a really good example of somebody who's feminine but also really powerful. I think it makes it like a really good feminist movie.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I wish being soft was perceived as a strength. Right? Being empathetic is a strength. Like, look at the countries who dealt with COVID the best globally. A lot of them have women in the leadership positions. And it's because empathetic traits are undervalued in leadership positions as well. So I don't think, I agree with Waffles. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be feminine. But being feminine is inherently, at the moment, associated with weak qualities and negative qualities when it just shouldn't be. It should be soft, beautiful, and powerful at the same time. And that's why we're breaking it down, sort of.
People of all genders should be able to be feminine. Like we put so many, we'll like harass people for doing that. Like if somebody like identifies as a guy and wants to be feminine, then like they'll get bullied for it because of the way that we view it.
Yeah.
I agree. Like Prince, like you know who Prince is? He's the famous artist. So he was heterosexual, but because he dressed so feminine, his sexuality was constantly questioned. And it's like, why does anybody even care? Like, why is that even a topic of discussion? It's because he dressed so feminine. People were like, no, we have to talk about this. We have to figure it out. So again, how you're saying, like, we should just let people literally do them without it being even like abnormal to us.
Like under like the patriarchy or whatever you want to call it, everybody's suffering because like women do get the short end of the stick, but men also do experience like health complications because of not learning to express themselves. Like they think it's one of the reasons that men don't live as long. It's not like a cause, but it's correlated.
I think like being a woman, like I think we actually have like a lot of advantages. And anytime anybody underestimates us, that's still an advantage. Like the art of war, it's like they said when your enemy like underestimates you, like that's an advantage. So like being a woman, like we already get so much stuff handed to us, and all those people who are just rude to us and think that we're stupid women, that's still an advantage to us.
So yeah, it's a good point. There is a book on that kind of dynamic where people tend to underestimate people, underestimate feminine people, and it ends up being a strength. It's like this veiled strength, right? Whereas like if everybody perceives you as strong, then if everybody perceives you as strong, then when I don't know, that can be a weakness in itself as well, right? So yeah, I don't know, I didn't explain that very well, sorry.
No, I got it.
I think a lot of feminine qualities can actually be. I think a lot of feminine qualities can actually be beneficial in workplace environments because you're taught a lot more social skills if you're growing up like being socialized in that way. And I think that can help with like working collaboratively in your group instead of it being a more like authoritarian type of management style. But for some reason, we kind of praise the other like authoritarian like attitudes, even though they don't help.
I think it's because the world has this idea of what leadership looks like. Like leadership to most people globally looks masculine, right? It looks like a strong man, a well-spoken man, a confident man, sometimes even an overconfident man that looks like strength when, really it could be a weakness.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's perceived.
It'll probably change in the future. I feel like with like more women stepping into power. As children, when we were younger, like, I mean, it wasn't too long ago that women even like were able to become, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say free because it's not like we weren't free, but think about like in the 60s, they were genuinely just housewives most of the time. So most of the TV shows and the stuff that we saw on television and the games and the things that we grew up around projected that same environment of just like a man being a man and a woman being a woman. But today they're doing such an amazing job of making sure that everybody's equal. So I think that our children and the next generation will grow up and not think it's as abnormal.
I think the fact that like women are underpaid is more complicated than like being paid less for a job. It's the fact that the jobs that are associated with femininity pay less. And I wish that we could fix that.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting topic. That's actually the reason why I quit my last job, is because I was offered X amount of money, and then I was told that they don't pay people in my position that type of money, let alone the other people that take certain positions in my workplace. And then I found out that all of the men were paid exponentially more than all the women in the position, and it was the women that had to kick and scream and complain to get the pay, and then I just refused to do that, and I called them out on it. But yeah, I think what sucks though is like if depending on the workplace you're in, you can see gender bias like fully. And I work in food and beverage, and obviously in Las Vegas, that is a big proponent of like what happens here. Generally, most likely for most higher up positions in any sort of position here in Las Vegas, it's a man that has the higher roles. You do see some women that are in these positions, but you will see them getting paid less more often than not.
Do you feel like you're treated differently by customers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was a business owner in California, and I had a cannabis license, and I had all men mostly working for me, a few women. And when people would come up to the booth to speak to what they thought was the owner to sell their products, 99.9% of the time, they would just start speaking to my employees. So I would just let them speak, right? Because they're making assumptions. And I would let them walk away, and then like my employees would turn to me like kind of embarrassed. I'm like, no, that's not you. That's fine. And like also then when they come to show up, then they realize when they sit down at the table to sell me something, right? They're now sitting in front of me. So that happens more often than not in a lot of positions that I've held where people are, assuming XYZ thing because of the gender norms that we have.
Yeah.
in the industries, especially food and beverage and cannabis. So yeah, it's been interesting. It's always been like that. I've been in these industries since a very young age. So yeah, more often than not, there are, men in these leadership roles and stuff. So
It sucks like when you experience stuff like that and then men tell you it's not real or
Yeah.
like it doesn't happen.
Oh my God, that's so infuriating. So infuriating. I had
I kind
somebody.
of just laugh at a certain point.
Yeah, I don't know. I worked in a position similarly, like, and the guy was getting paid twice the amount that I was getting paid, right? And I was doing all of the same work as him. In fact, I was covering his ass a lot of the time. They got rid of him, and then they moved me into his position, and I still was getting paid half of what he was getting paid. And I had to. I like, I'm not even asking for like the same amount of pay. I know he's been there a little bit longer than me, but I don't want to be getting paid half of what he's getting paid. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. And I fought so hard just to get a little bit more pay, and it just wasn't happening. So I left. Like, it's ridiculous.
I
So
think pay should be private. I personally don't understand why it's so taboo. I feel like people's salaries should be public, and I feel like that would
It's-
prevent
I feel like
private
it's
because it's
because of,
disparity.
it's also because of capitalism as a whole.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, mine is public, so just.
I mean, technically,
Um,
so technically, there. I don't think there's any law that's preventing you from discussing your salary with other people. So I would just say, just
There's
go ahead and do it, right?
Yeah, so there's
Yeah,
actually
why
laws that
not?
actually protect you from talking about it. A lot of companies will actually write it into their manuals to say
Oh,
it's
really?
part of like their rules to say that you can't, but it's actually
Right.
illegal for
It's
them to do it
so
in most
sus,
states.
Correct.
So yeah,
Why
and
don't
like,
you want me to talk about it?
well, they don't want you to talk about it because they are paying people differently. That's the real
Yeah.
reality of what's happening. So yeah, I mean, I've been in a lot of different states and I see it constantly, and so it just, I mean, just pay in general in the United States, and I'm sure it's a lot in every country, is just, it's so all over the place, and it's just unfair for just everybody in general to not be able to afford to live where they live, right? Not to be able to get an equal pay, or just, we still have people in positions in this country that can't even afford to live, right? And then they have families. So yeah, I mean, but it's also like, why is everything so expensive? Why does everything keep going up, but the pay is not moving, right? It's just interesting.
I also
It's
would be
true. No
curious-
matter what job you do, you should make enough money to be able to have a house, food, and healthcare. And like, this is the thing: everybody should have access to those basic things that are the building blocks for a decent life. And I feel like so many people
Got
right
some
now
great news
don't have
today.
that.
The corporate
In
office
America, I don't know
finally
if it's
fired the
everywhere,
general
but
manager
I
at the
learned in
part-time
sociology
job
that's
I
called the
quit
poverty
Janet
line.
last year,
And in
who was
America, our
discriminating
poverty line
against
is
me
at
for my
like
disabilities and
27,000
many
or
other
something like that, and there's
employees for a
still,
variety
which
of
is really
stuff.
low in my personal
Ankle hype,
opinion.
needle hype,
And they said that there's still like 50% of the people are under it. Like, wow. And those are
I
people
think
who are like school teachers who are educating our children, and it's just so upsetting.
It doesn't make sense why we don't offer access to healthcare to everybody. Like, even if you're viewing it from the lens of capitalism, it doesn't make any sense because workers that are healthy are more productive. So, like, we should just do it.
How is healthcare in Australia? Because you guys have free healthcare, right?
So we have a mix. We have like a private option and a public option. So I have private healthcare because after you make a certain amount of money, and once you hit a certain age, if you don't have private healthcare, you pay an extra tax basically, and that's how it gets funded. But we have way, way, way better social safety supports, safety nets. There are waiting lists. For example, like when I went on a waiting list for to see a doctor about my TMJ at the hospital, the waiting list was 1.5 years. But you can pay, right? To you have the option to pay. It's just like going to the GP, free. Go to a doctor, free. You can have a baby for free, right? In America, it costs something like 20, 30 grand or something, like, to have a baby. in Australia, you can get all of your pregnancy support for free through the public health system.
What about
So-
disease? What if you have cancer or something?
Cancer, you can get cancer treatment. It's just where you are and what the waiting lists are like. But yeah, you can get all of that for free. A lot of that is covered as well. The only thing that's really shit over here is still dental. No, like that is not on our public system. No, barely any of that's covered. So yeah. It's definitely better though. Like having some sort of like social safety supports for like the poorest people is just, I think, one of the most important foundations of a functioning society. It's a human right. People should have access to healthcare. Sorry, that was really funny.
My bad, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know the waiting list in the UK for some things is super, super long. So,
You also have free healthcare in the UK?
yeah, I believe they do. Yeah,
They have a fully public system, I think, right?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't know if they have private options. They have like a fully public system.
How is that?
I'm not sure. I've talked about it a few times, but they have the NHS, which is it's fully run by the government, which is different to Australia. We're kind of like a half America, half UK situation. I think is how it works. I could be wrong.
It's nice being on a panel where like you can actually talk.
yeah.
Like it's really nice.
Yeah,
And like other people
What do you
can
mean,
talk.
Waffles? I'm talking over you right now. You're not allowed to say anything anymore. I'm talking over you.
It's also nice being on a panel where everybody's very beautiful as well.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Toast.
nice of you to say. True though. Very true.
Red
I
is
wonder
pretty
if that-
attractive.
It's true.
I know. You're lucky over there to eat you.
Like I said, whenever Waffles pulls out the bread outfit, I can't control myself. So it's, yeah, I've just never been so aroused in my life. I don't know what to do with myself. It's ridiculous.
That's your clickbait title, Stardust.
Oh,
Girls
that's a
talk
good
about
idea.
eating each other. Yeah, women talk about eating each other. The panel. That's it. That's your viral YouTube video right there.
Okay. All right. I'm changing the title of the stream right now. So.
All right, so
Is
since
that
we brought
against
it up,
POS?
who are we eating first if we do have to eat one of us to survive?
Okay, I just want to say I have a lot of really good survival skills, so don't eat me first. I'm just saying.
Wait,
It'd be a benefit.
Pixel, you can't like. Can you eat gluten?
No.
Me-
Oh.
I have celiac disease. I should be eaten first. My immune system's trash. Like, I'm not going to survive. Eat me first, right? Put me out of my misery.
It
Yeah.
would be weird if I will say that I'll choose bread.
No, that would make sense actually.
Like, no offense, Waffle, but
What if I'm like stale bread though?
That's like
It's
a
true.
crouton, even better.
Well, okay. So I would
Gotta
like to
soak it in
advocate.
some milk.
I would like to advocate for myself to be the first up volunteering my body for consumption. I wouldn't survive very long in the wild. I don't think so. I think I would die pretty quickly. And you might as well like eat me while I'm fresh. I have a lot of fat on me, so if you like fatty food, I'll be pretty good. So. Yeah, what is it? What is it? Do they like fatty steaks or whatever? I don't know.
I prefer mine without
Supposedly,
marmalade, but we'll
human
make
is supposed to
do.
be delicious.
Yeah, I'll taste just like pork. It's gonna be awesome.
That's what I
Would
heard.
you eat it?
Thank you for your
Stardust
sacrifice.
bacon.
I
Definitely.
mean, I guess we could all take like a few, like chop a little bit off ourselves, right, and share.
I have
Maybe
so
we
much
all
to
have
spare
to.
though.
Maybe
But
we all
then
put up a limb.
We all would
You
just
know?
slowly die.
Good point.
together.
They rescue us, and there's like each one of us doesn't have like an arm, a leg.
They'll just end up thinking that we're like a weird cult or something.
Start hacking off our titties for sustenance. Just in a different way.
Actually, not a bad idea.
Make a pate.
Yeah,
Ooh.
just cauterize the wound. It's fine.
Look, I'm
Grab
just
some
saying,
leaves for the salad,
my
let the
body
pizza
could
bread and make some croutons.
several months. I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure several months. So, yeah.
I have watched a lot of survival shows that tell me how to like preserve meat. So
I would be honored.
I think, you know, we could this is the thing. You do the smoky thing, and you smoke it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I have this like Anne Prim side of me where it's like, just in case, you know, I'm a hopeful leftist, but
Yeah.
I mean, I have a go bag. It's only got a few things in it. It's not potentially viable
I thought
yet.
you
You
said
still just have to know how to skin a
Confidence,
person just in case.
I thought you said that you didn't. I thought you said you didn't leave your house.
She's on
Why are
the
you doing
topic.
survival stuff?
Because just in case, okay?
In case you leave your house.
It's in case. This is what happens when you're in lockdown for a while. You forget. But it's okay because I have like one of those. Someone sent me a one of those life straws that you can like put into rivers, and like it takes out all the bacteria and stuff. So like, you know, I will be able to wander along, put a straw in a river, get some water, survive. You want to be with me come the apocalypse. That's right. Oh God.
Can I ask what's your favorite survival show?
Ooh, Alone.
Alone?
Yeah.
I think I didn't heard. The last ones I've watched is about Ed Stafford, and his show. He's from UK, if I remember right.
Is that the one where he survives on an island for like
Yeah,
60
naked
days?
like, and I don't know. It's always different number of days, but yeah. I also want to say that I will use this moment for heading up, I guess. I'm trying to stay tuned, but I'm really falling asleep. I was streaming for kind of 6 hours before this show.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I think I have to raise my vocabulary about feminism because I wanted to say something, but I didn't know how I will use language. So yeah, kind of problematic to me to speak with this
You
topic.
did a really good job, honestly.
Yeah.
Like your English
No, I think for
sounds
the
really
first
great.
time I did pretty good.
I honestly think you did great. I think it was great to have you. So, I mean, yeah, thank you for joining.
I'm glad to meet you. That was cool to listen at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for inviting. I'll go sleep. Bye, chat.
Bye.
Sweet dreams.
Bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Chat, please check out
Bye.
Kate. The link is in the chat. Go drop her a follow.